there's such good whiskey in the state of Kentucky. There's a bunch of entrepreneurs that are working 80-hour weeks, including ourselves, and it's our blood, sweat, and tears that are in every bottle. There's hundreds of hands that have touched each bottle. We are literally in the most beautiful part of the world with the best liquid in the world.
Whiskey is one of the world's oldest spirits, rooted in tradition, shaped by generations, and guarded by rules that define how it must be made. But the future of whiskey may not look like the past.
So I'm Jared Bickel. I'm the Director of Customer Relations and Business Development and Brand Ambassador for Bespoken Spirits.
Bespoken Spirits isn't trying to replace tradition, but to find a new path to the same destination, great tasting whiskey.
How can we make this different, exciting, new, innovative? You know, with our innovation, really what we're trying to do is just trying to find a different avenue to the same location, which is great tasting whiskey.
Though Bespoken is redefining how whiskey is made, it remains grounded in the essentials, the wood, the spirit, and time, reinterpreted with modern precision.
We're not reinventing the wheel. It's just a different path. It's exciting, it's new.
The story of American whiskey once took place in the shadows, but today, Bespoken throws open the doors.
We want you to see every bit of it, and everything here's proprietary, but we don't hide any punches here.
And yet, no matter how much changes, some things stay the same. The spirit in the bottle still follows the rules that define bourbon.
We're still using new American white oak. We're still not adding additives. We are strictly deriving flavor from wood staves that come from a traditional barrel.
By staying rooted in what matters, the ingredients, the process, and the result, Bespoken balances progress with respect for heritage.
It's just a different pathway. Like, think of us as I-75, and these traditional heritage lines are the scenic route. They're beautiful, they're romantic, they've been driving that path for years.
What began as a garage experiment quickly grew into a full-scale operation. Now, that same spirit of curiosity is poised to revolutionize the whiskey industry. The name Bespoken Spirits isn't just a clever brand, it's a mission. At its core, it reflects a philosophy that puts the drinker first.
Well, bespoken's an old tailor word. It's an English term meaning to customize or create. You know, our first line of whiskeys were houndstooth, crushed velvet, you know, these very fabric generic flavors.
From crushed velvet packaging to tailored flavor profiles, Bespoken began with the idea that every whiskey could and should be crafted for a specific purpose.
When you come in this facility, we bespoke exactly what you want to do. So from Leonard Skinner, where they wanted to do a Crown Royal adjacent whiskey, but they wanted Americanized, to the University of Kentucky and their Club Blue. We wanted to make sure that that bottle signified what they wanted, not our image with a tag on the bottom that says provided by Bespoken Spirits.
Bespoken asks what it could be and builds it with them from the ground up.
You can customize the exact experience. And to us, that's almost our pillar. We're here for you to move your needle. Every bottle looks dramatically different and the flavor has been picked specifically for them. So instead of doing a barrel pick, it's almost like they're doing a bottle pick.
In an industry where barrel picks have long been the gold standard of personalization, Bespoken offers something even more intimate.
I've been on barrel picks before where there's a group of 10 or 12, and 9 times out of 10, it's the majority of people are the ones that are selecting the barrel, and you're like, man, I really like the other barrel that we didn't pick. But I'm not going to commit to the 15, 20,000 to buy that barrel. With Bespoken Spirits, you can legitimately pick your own, and we can scale up to as many as you want or as little as you want. To me, that just gives you, it's like a glorified card counter in blackjack. I want to know exactly what card's going to be turned, and I want that full control.
My name is Jordan Spitzer, and I work here at Bespoken Spirits, focusing on developing the recipes for all of the spirits we make.
Bespoken was born not in a rickhouse, but in a lab, trying to solve a very different kind of problem.
It was an R&D program. There wasn't really a marketing team. So it was a bunch of scientists trying to sell product in California.
And while the technology held promise, the location came with its own baggage.
There is this stigma that you put California on a label, a lot of people won't buy it because they're so like, if it's not coming from Kentucky, or if it's not coming from Texas, or it's not coming from New York, or they don't really trust it. And I get that.
The pivot to Kentucky would change everything.
We hired the right people. We hired a CEO with a sales background, really got us back into getting more distribution. So we opened up, as soon as we moved to Kentucky, I think we opened up in 15 new states.
The foundation was science. But building a business meant learning how to speak whiskey's language too.
We will run most of our spirits on a gas chromatograph, but at the end of the day, we still need to have a trained sensory panel that's going to tell us this is the greatest whiskey I've ever had, or this whiskey still needs more work.
In a world steeped in heritage and tradition, Bespoken's lab-based approach drew skepticism.
There's skepticism, and rightfully so. I was skeptic. People think that we're cutting corners. And my argument to that is, taste the liquid first, then hear the story.
At the end of the day, we're still just using spirit and wood. We're just modifying a few things.
Winning hearts and minds wasn't just a strategy. It became the company's most essential mission.
We have purists that come through the door that are skeptic, and we don't win them all. We don't win everyone. It's winning hearts and minds is really, in my opinion, our biggest goal that we need to achieve. Because once people taste the liquid and then find out what we're doing, it's almost getting that check mark on Instagram. We become certified.
One by one, partnerships grew. Institutions took notice, and Bespoken earned a seat at the bourbon table.
The KDA brought us on for a reason. And they had questions. That was a thorough process to get on the bourbon trail, to be a KDA member. People took chances on us, and then the sales numbers backed it up.
And while the science might look like a shortcut, Jared sees it as just another tool, a new machine built for the same job.
I love when people come through our door and say, I think you microwave bourbon. I love when people say that. Give me 10 minutes of your time. Let's taste some liquid. I want to show you. 9 times out of 10, it's like, wow, that's just a different way. You guys are a washing machine, right? You know, instead of washboarding your clothes, it's just a new way of making it.
While traditional whiskey makers rely on time, temperature, and warehouse location to shape flavor, Bespoken brings a modern lens to the same raw materials.
With our finishing, we're taking advantage of a lot of the parameters that one might look at in aging, such as temperature, headspace, surface area, and essentially just improving our rates of extraction. At the end of the day, we're using the same wood as your traditional distilleries. We're just modifying the geometry and the conditions of the maturation. So still American oak, but it's in stave form, and we're toasting them and cutting them to what we call micro staves. And in this, we're able to get even more surface area, to the point where our standard maturation uses about 30 times less wood by weight than a traditional barrel would.
This microstave finishing isn't just about speed, it's about customization too. Bespoken can tweak the wood profile for every batch.
By stave finishing, best and simplest example would be finishing with French oak, and adding French oak gives you some additional flavors. So you're going to get more stone fruit, more mocha, things of that nature. You could also finish with additional American oak and get a little bit more of your dill, your coconut. There's cherry wood. You can use amburana wood, exotic oaks like Mizunara or Mongolian. So there's really a lot of room you have to just add a little bit of flair to a spirit.
Bespoken doesn't rely solely on intuition. experimentation is constant, but so is statistical rigor.
A lot of what we do in the lab is experimentation. That's going to be making educated guesses based on previous data. If we get one really good run out of 20 or even 40, then that could be a groundbreaking discovery.
At Bespoken Spirits, innovation isn't just a marketing buzzword. It's embedded in every layer of production. And nowhere is that more evident than in their limited Alchemist series.
When we do the Alchemist series, it's really our tasting panel and our sensory team being open to the public. We're not putting it out for mass distribution. We're not making a lot of it, right? We usually make about 24 bottles of it. It looks like it comes from a science laboratory. If they do really well, then we market them in Kentucky and we distribute them on e-com. And if it does well in e-com, it's almost checking the box, so we know if we have to put it in traditional distribution in the 3-tier system, we've done the legwork to get it there.
The goal of the Alchemist series is to expose our lovely consumers to things they may not have had before. It gives us an opportunity to, try some new woods, try some new finishes, try some new methodologies.
The series also represents the values that Bespoken holds closest: transparency, collaboration, and constant learning.
Our story is that we are a little weird, and we are scientifically driven. Our foundation was a Silicon Valley garage where this was invented. When someone buys a bottle of an Alchemist, they leave as an ambassador of Bespoken Spirits.
Bespoken Spirits is redefining what it means to make something truly your own. And perhaps no offering embodies that vision more than their one-of-one program.
We've gotten a lot of feedback when we've done, small private labels, barrel picks, things like that. And to my chagrin, I go on these barrel picks and I go on them quite a bit where people are like, hey, can you just help us pick one out? And I'm like, man, I really like that one barrel that no one else liked. And I started thinking about our technology, and especially in our lab where we have these little activator tanks. And we could make enough distillate for a single bottle. And I started thinking about it, and I started talking with our marketing team, and I started talking with Jordan about how can we customize the experience individually.
Inspired by the individuality of Kentucky's horse racing silks, Jared and the Bespoken team built an experience that mirrors the precision of the racetrack, where every detail matters and every decision is yours.
And when I think about Lexington, that's the first thing I think about is Keeneland specifically. There's an individuality about each horse that comes up on that track. So how could we do that with a bottle? And my thought process and our team's thought process was, let's make a 101. This is a 101 bottle that's never going to be seen on the shelf. It is your pick. What a story to tell your friends when you come back home. You're like, hey, bet you haven't had this one because this is 101. It's instead of a barrel pick, it's a bottle pick. And we can scale up. If you want to buy 3 cases of it, we can make you 3 cases of it. If you want to put 1 case with a French oak finish, another case with an Amburana finish, another case with a Misonara finish, we can do that for you.
When creating a custom spirit for a customer, there are a few key questions want to know right off the bat. Starting with what kind of spirit. It's an important one to know. ABV and proof is very important. Processing proof and finished proof. Obviously wood type is critical. And then the methodology that we go through, whether that's, toast and the level of toast, and the char, if there is char, and if there is, the type of char. But at the end of the day, it's more important for customer to say, this is the wood I want, and these are flavor notes I'd like to see.
We walk you through what certain types of bourbons taste like, what type of rye tastes like, and it's a filtering process, right? Then your next thing is, what's your toast level? So we'll give a sample of a bourbon that has a light, medium, heavy toasting. Next thing would be, what kind of finishing do you like? Is there a finishing you do like? And you don't have to pick a finishing. And you're like, all right, now let's look at the silks, because we've just picked out the liquid. And you pick the silk, and then we'll say what the proof's going to be. Anything else that we need to write. And so if we have the liquid in-house, we can leave with it today. But if we don't have the liquid in-house, we'll ship it to you. That's kind of it. But it's really just starting at this downward pyramid and getting to right here. And so that's the goal, is that like you came here you took your time, you took your hard-earned money to come visit Lexington. We're going to give you every aspect of this.
Bespoken Spirits was born from the desire to reimagine tradition, but that innovation has never stopped. In fact, it's just getting started.
We have some new things in the works, so stay tuned.
What began as garage samples is now a full-fledged experimentation engine.
We started to have our own brand and do more service projects where people are going to have their own brand, and they wanted bourbon whiskey or straight bourbon whiskey or straight rye whiskey on the label. Well, now we're going to be using some aged spirits, and our methodology and our thought process is going to change. A lot of our best whiskeys we've made are using a straight base. It's about 2 years old. It's the minimum to be straight. And we've had people in the past come and say, well, you guys are cheating. You're starting with aged distillate. And then my response to that is, try a 2-year distillate on its own, chill filtered at 80 proof, and tell me if that's something that you think is ready to go into a bottle and go on the shelf. We can do so many great things with it, starting with French oak finishes. That's how we got our velvet and our pinstripe bottlings, which evolved into other brands that we have on our shelf in the tasting room today. We've done some things with cherry wood, bourbon in a sherry cask or cognac cask, whatever it may be. We're able to do the same thing with staves, and it takes less time for us to do it than if you were to do a traditional finish, and we're imparting a lot of the same character by using those used staves.
As the palette of woods and finishes expands, so does Bespoken's imagination.
When we have a lot of business, we're going heavier on the D, on the development side, which that's where I'm just going to go to the lab. I'm going to see what they want. Going back to customization, what flavor notes do they want? Do they have preference on mash bill, on source spirit age, and develop a set of 4 to 6 samples for them to try based on those parameters.
Bespoken isn't just crafting whiskey, they're crafting the tools for whiskey's next chapter.
I would just say Bespoken is a very research and development oriented company. And that's one of the reasons that I've been here since the very beginning, and why I love what we do. But at the end of the day, we are still a craft distillery, just like a lot of our friends and neighbors. We're just taking a different approach to making great spirits.
Bespoken began with a big idea and a willingness to defy expectations.
If we become stubborn in our ways, we've lost in this industry. So it's really listening. That's honestly the main reason why we moved to Kentucky as well, to have that tasting room. They're going to tell us more than we'll ever know about what's the new trend, what do we need to get into. Can our technology work with other spirits? I see our future is expanding in that role, collaborating with bigger distilleries. We've kind of scratched the surface on that a little bit, but our technology is growing to the point where people are starting to be interested. It's not scary. I think once we figure out that we're not the big bad wolf and we're doing something that's unethical, it's exciting.
Bespoken's willingness to stand apart is exactly what's pushed them forward.
We love these big distilleries and these heritage distilleries. But man, do I love trying something new. And I think that's where really we're going to pigeonhole ourselves a little bit is, how can we change that narrative? How can we supply a different way of doing this? How can we polish an already great whiskey with our technology?
For all its scientific rigor and innovation, Bespoken's story is still human, built on passion, community, and a vision for something more inclusive.
Take a product that was already good, put a finish on it, using less wood, less energy, and less water, and really give us an opportunity to make it grow into another spectrum of flavor. What I love about the whiskey industry is that while it's competitive on the shelves, there's been such a cohesive bond and brotherhood and sisterhood. We want to make sure everyone's successful. Our future is business to business and business to customer.
From garage samples to best in show winners, from skepticism to celebration, Bespoken Spirits invites the world not just to taste what's next, but to believe in it.
We love whiskey. We love the history of Kentucky. Just give us an opportunity. And if we lose you, we lose you. We understand. If you just still don't like our product, but I can tell you this much, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love our science. You're gonna love the people you talk to. We have a great staff here. Come in, enjoy some phenomenal whiskey, but also go to other distilleries. There's such good whiskey in the state of Kentucky. There's a bunch of entrepreneurs that are working 80-hour weeks, including ourselves, and it's our blood, sweat, and tears that are in every bottle. There's hundreds of hands that have touched each bottle. We are literally in the most beautiful part of the world with the best liquid in the world. Come enjoy that with us, because it's something we're very lucky to be in this state and to have such a beautiful spirit come from here.